by an extra 2 points. Then on to the Portuguese Grand Prix at Jarama in Spain. 122.5 kilometres for the 37 laps. This year the Spanish Grand Prix was at Jerez, but Jarama, a tight, undulating, very testing track where Gardner had his first Grand Prix win in round one last year, but he didn't manage to better Spencer's 1985 lap record. But the two leaders in this year's 500cc championship point score got busy in fierce Spanish heat during qualifying. Using all the curbs he could find, Momola did 127.648. Trying to equal it, and the only other rider into the 27s, Gardner crashed late on Saturday with no damage to him and not much to the bike. So behind them it was Eddie Lawson, Christian Saron and Kevin Magee on the front row of the grid. Second row, Tadahiko Taira, Neil Mackenzie, Rob McElnay, Roger Burnett making up the second row, and then 10th fastest, heading the third row, Pierre Francesco Keeley on the V3 Honda. The Kajivas on this occasion both out of the top 10, sandwiched between them, Mike Baldwin making his comeback for Lucky Strike Yamaha. The Spanish crowd delirious over their champion in the 80 class, Jorge Martinez, and waiting keenly for the 500 race.
And the championship to worry about, two things?
Well, the first priority, of course, the beginning of the race is the race, and to really forget the championship. Well, not completely, you know, have it in the back of your mind, of course, but the priority is to race in the race. And then if I'm struggling in the situations which I'm in, such as, you know, trying to struggle on to first, second or third or whatever, then, and if I risk falling off, then I think it's better to finish for a placement, and then I'll judge the situation from there.
Very bad planning to go and break your ankle, just as you were debuting the Elf in this season.
Yeah, it's all come to a bad time. Like, yeah, I broke my ankle, and it's only been like 12 days now since I broke it, and really I'm not at what you say 100%. Probably only about 90% actually riding now. So to bring the Elf out at this time at the same time, it looks a little bit bad, but yeah, we'll get there.
I imagine there would be lots of young girls in Italy.
Young girl?
Like to know you.
Yeah, but I don't prefer only young.
Well, I hope you get a bike for next year and some pretty girls.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye, see you.
34 bikes lined up. Two Australians on the front row of the grid. Second and fifth grid position. And in a big hurry is Randy Momola, Eddie Lawson, Wayne Gardner and Christian Saron. Rob McElnay heads the rest of the bunch. Kevin Magee on 34 in 6th place. Momola heading Lawson, Saron, Gardner, 4th. They break away already. Rob McElnay. Short straight. Only about 270 kilometres an hour top speed, and Momola and Lawson and Gardner now third. Saron back to 4th. Very tight, demanding circuit this. Gave Gardner his first Grand Prix win, but gave him a crash that's been much used when he crashed on an uphill section in qualifying last year. Saron's losing ground to the three speedsters out front. Downhill section now, tight, braking hard, and then hooking uphill where Gardner crashed, in fact, in 86. One of two big power uphill sections in this Jarama track. Now they power round towards the fast sweeping corner that brings them onto the downhill section towards the pits, onto the only straight and the short straight it is too. Momola, Lawson, Gardner in the distance, Magee in behind McElnay. And then Roger Burnett's bike showing Mike Baldwin in front, the second of the Lucky Strike team riders, returning after an absence of 10 races after crashing at Hockenheim. where he was hit by Pier Francesco Keeley after being tossed off his bike and nothing broken at nearly maximum speed. But Keeley, slipstreaming a bike, didn't see him and whacked his wrist and hand. It's taken him a long time to recover. Now, downhill, braking hard. Sweeping uphill where Gardner crashed in 86 in qualifying. Very, very dry in Spain. The grass all dry and brown and dusty. But a very testing, interesting track. Absolutely no rest. And at a very hot day in Momola again. Sweeping wide right out past the white paint on the edge of the circuit. And in the distance, Kevin Magee assaulting Rob McElnay. 5th and 6th place. So Magee, 34, comes up to 5th. Number 5 goes back to 6th, McElnay. And his job in the team, Marlborough team, already decided he won't be with them for 1988. Momola chasing, hitting Lawson, Gardner tucked in behind. Momola wasting a little bit of time as he looks behind, wonders where Lawson and Gardner are, what they're up to. Needn't have looked, might just as well have tucked his head down and gone, because they're trying to nail him as they come round onto the straight again. At the same time as they wind up to maximum speed, they go across trying to get a look at their pit crew signals. Saron's 4th and Magee is 5th. Mola taken by Lawson. So Lawson now heads the bunch. Gustav Reiner on 14's in behind Ron Haslam. Gardner's through on Momola too. So it's Lawson, Gardner, 1 and 2, leads 3, Momola. And up at the top section of circuit now, looping into a tight corner that they need really, 2 corners that needs to be flowed into one, being unceremoniously dragged off to the side of the track by an official who'd have to be strong, surely, to deal with Tadahiko Taira, big solid man that he is. And Eddie Lawson leads Gardner and Momola. Very tight, very little ground covering the 3 leading the race. 37 laps, 122 kilometres. Every one of them a busy, tight, twisting, no rest for the rider section of track. The Spanish crowd basking in the sun, being kept a little bit cool by fire hoses, which put out the odd fire created by the crackers that go off incessantly. Fastest lap for Magee. Sensational stuff in only his 3rd Grand Prix. 2 of which he's qualified on the front row of the grid, and for the 3rd at Japan, the opening race of the season, he was 6th, heading the 2nd row of the grid, but by only 0.06 of a second from the 3rd grid position man. The 2nd one at Assen in Holland, he was 6th to Gardner. And now it's Momola back up in front of Wayne Gardner into 2nd place. And the crackers bang and crackle in the background. Big crowd in the Spanish sun. In this tight section of circuit round behind the front straight, Kevin Magee was fastest or 2nd fastest almost throughout qualifying. He did so well, so impressed, that they gave him, with Randy Momola's agreement, Momola's spare engine, and that uprated the power that he had, particularly the top-end speed, considerably over the engine that he used in the first day of qualifying. And he didn't get onto it early enough to make good use of it, so that he was disappointed, in fact, with his 5th qualifying position. The agreement was that if he were in a position to be able to help Momola late in the race, he would do so in virtually equal equipment now. An absolute Grand Prix novice. Again round onto the front straight, chasing Lawson comes Momola, borrowing about a metre non-racetrack right on the outside of the circuit. And Gardner's third, watching. And there's Magee looming in the background, fourth and 34. Now dispatched Saron. Momola is keen to win this one as he was San Marino. 5 seconds behind the pair of them is Gardner. Momola trying everything to nail his compatriot American. Gardner's Honda not looking too steady. The man on number 2 well in control. Gardner slipping back now, pointing down. Problems with the engine, surely.
I was sitting in third place behind Eddie and Randy, quite easy, doing it reasonably easy, and I actually felt confident that I actually could win the race. But unfortunately, engine problems struck, and as I said, I think that stemmed from the crash in practice, where either something's been jolted or cracked in the motor, or another problem which we found after the race was the front wheel weight had come off and gone through the radiator and possibly punctured the radiator.
Well, indeed, the engine continued to get hot and to lose power, and at the end of the race, the Honda engineers told Gardner he was very lucky to have finished it all, that another lap or two and the engine would have deceased entirely. So it's Eddie Lawson and Randy Momola making a break away from him and from Kevin Magee. And they fight, both for the lead in the race and for the chance to try and pin back Wayne Gardner's championship lead. Round onto the straight now, quite a fast corner this one that leads this little downhill section past the pit area. Momola without the power apparently to get past Lawson, deciding that the only way to do so is some desperate late braking down the end of the straight there, while Lawson goes on his usual unflappable way, although this season under a lot of pressure. We've seen him crash in the wet race in France, but that really was a tyre problem as much as anything else, as you see Ron Haslam, Gustav Reiner being lapped by Lawson. And he making a break just a little bit on Momola. Looming into the distance comes Magee. Now past Gardner, so up into third place as Gardner's engine loses even more power. And Magee just does an absolutely superb, patient but very quick job on Yamaha number 34. Loaned by the Lucky Strike team, but not bearing their colours. Entered by Yamaha Japan. Brilliant riding this. A tight section of circuit where he was dominant all through qualifying. In most qualifying sessions, he was the fastest bike in this section. Through the tight back section, up to the top here, where he goes out of sight. And Gardner 11 seconds behind the leading pair. Magee about a second closer to them. This only his third Grand Prix. It's Gardner's 55th. Lawson leads Momola. Had some exciting moments apart from his crash in Japan. A couple of occasions, and now Momola's tried to outbrake Lawson. He's run right off the track and gone back to fourth place, so that it is the American Lawson leading Australians. Kevin Magee second, Australian Wayne Gardner third. So Americans first and fourth, Australians second and third, and the Grand Prix newcomer, Kevin Magee, absolutely sensational. In his third ever World Championship 500 Grand Prix, after debuting on a 500 Grand Prix Yamaha in the Swan International Insurance Series last year. And how quickly he adapted to the bike in that series. tentative start at Surfers, a win in one of 2 heats at Oran Park, breaking Gardner's lap record, and a win in one of 2 heats at Calder Raceway, breaking Gardner's lap record. Eddie Lawson in command. Magee now 11 seconds behind him in second place. Sensational, exciting situation for the young Horsham rider, but one which, if he doesn't keep his cool, could see him lose his perspective and perhaps make an error. Lawson told by his pits what the situation is, pleased to have the pressure from both Momola, and there he is in third place behind Magee, and also Gardner off him. Momola in different colours, but the bikes come from the same team. And Magee using Momola's spare engine, which he hadn't called on for a couple of days. And so Momola agreed to him getting the more powerful motor. But on the agreement, would help Momola in the championship. He'd give way to him. Closing section of the race. Magee second, Momola third. Neither of them in a position to threaten Lawson. But certainly Magee in this position, harming Momola's championship chase. A taunting, tantalising second between the 2 of them. And about 11 seconds forward to this man. Straight again. Down. Finished 36 laps to start out in his final lap. Eddie Lawson ahead in second place of Kevin Magee, still heading Randy Momola. An unbelievable result for Magee. Surely one he won't be able to hang on to as he looks back over his shoulder. He says, come on, Randy, where are you? Come on, second place is there, but don't make me give it away. Chase it and take it. And the Spanish crowd now, perhaps running out of crackers and fireworks, clapping Eddie Lawson instead of setting off minor incendiaries. Through this tight circuit towards victory. Downhill. Just one more uphill climb now. Stay tight through the exit of this. And then the double corner and the final corner onto pit straight, and it's his. And out he bursts, out to the start-finish line for victory. In the Portuguese Grand Prix at the Jarama circuit in Spain, from Randy Momola now into second place, ahead of Kevin Magee, so 3 in second, 34 from Horsham in Victoria, in third place in his 3rd ever Grand Prix. Brilliant result, cool, calm riding from a man with more talent than experience, and equally a great win for Eddie Lawson. But happily Magee didn't have to give away a position on the dais, where he stands proudly now to Lawson's left. Gardner's ailing Honda brought him into 4th place ahead of Christian Saron, Yamaha, Neil Mackenzie, Honda. So that as they leave Europe, Gardner's been frustrated in his attempts to try and wrap up the championship before they head for the final 2 rounds in South America. A 19-point break over Randy Momola. Eddie Lawson well out of touch, 30 points in arrears.
Eddie Lawson, well done. There are some wins I think you have to work pretty hard for.
I tell you, this was the toughest one for us. You know, it was just so hot here, and the heat, and I started getting stomach cramps, and it was a tough one, but we did it, and You know, we needed it. We needed to win. The team needed to win, and I did. Been finishing second so many times that we needed this.
I was lucky to get home with 8 points, I guess, now. So I had some bad luck, but I had some good luck. You know, lucky to get home with 8 points. And it's very frustrating because, as I said, I'm sure I could have at least won it, or at least, for sure, second place. And then that goes and happens. It's very, very frustrating this time of the year.
Randy Mamola, a pretty good result and a fairly exciting race for you.
It was really exciting, you know. Urama was very, very hot. I think the temperature was about 45 degrees out there, and behind a bike that's running 85 degrees itself is incredible temperatures, you know, to ride 37 laps around a very demanding circuit. And I got held up by a slower rider, and Wayne and Eddie both got underneath me and began to leave. And I think that did me a bit of good, mainly because the distance between that they had on me made me concentrate on coming back up onto them, which took away some of the laps, which didn't make it as hard on me as it was for the other guys towards the end. And you know, I just felt really good out there.
Kevin Magee, congratulations. That must be some thrill.
Thanks very much, Will. Yeah, most definitely.
Hard work as well?
Very hard work. The 500's much, much harder to ride for almost an hour than a four-stroke is to ride for 2 hours.
Kevin Magee's run, nice to see him, from my point of view as an Australian, consolidating the promise he's shown in qualifying in other rounds.
It's extremely difficult to follow up what he did in qualifying, because with such little experience that he's had on a 500, qualifying is relatively easy compared to the race.
Right.
And a race so hard as this, unbelievable, really. I mean, Kevin showed what talent he has, really. He felt that he could have did better. He's got a little problem with his wrist, and such promise. You know, what else can you ask for?